הפרס למנצחים בעונה 4, חוויית נסיעה מטורפת ברכב מרוץ פרוטוטייפ במסלול הרד.
Hello and welcome everybody to a sunny Silverstone for the iRacing Israel League presented by Sim Race. We've got a 45-minute race coming up for everybody at this 5.8 kilometer historic circuit, not the actual historic layout. We're at the regular Arena Grand Prix layout here at Silverstone today, but very historic circuit here at Silverstone. My name's Dane Baird with Sam Fitzpatrick alongside for the first time, I believe, in the iRacing Israel League. Sam, welcome along. We've got Mark on production as always. But Sam, yeah, your first time, I believe, in the Israel League. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, F3 cars at Silverstone, what's not to love?
Yeah, exactly. These cars always are really fun to drive, and I mean, we had a terrific race in the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Championship back on Saturday. So hopefully it will be similarly exciting for this one. I did do one earlier on in the season. I did Okayama, I think, again with Jim Hodgson on that occasion, and that was quite a bit of fun as well. I think we had a crash early on. Hopefully we keep all clean this time round. But no, I really like this car track combo. You can get the tow down these fairly long straights. I think in the radicals it's not been terrific this week, but in the Formula 3 cars it seems to be a really good combo.
Yep, absolutely. Pretty wide as well. Lots of overtaking opportunities, especially in these F3 cars, which race pretty well. We've seen that the Montreal, of all places, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve last week, not last week, 2 weeks ago, gave us a fantastic race, which surprised me. I thought it might not be the best of races. I've never actually seen a good race at Montreal, but yeah, the drivers really performed well out there, and hopefully we can get the same sort of thing today. We've got only a couple of drivers still out on track and qualifying because it is almost finished. The drivers only get a couple of laps to set their fastest time to decide the grid order. Like I said earlier, 45-minute race, 20 laps in total, whichever one of those two comes first, and there are mandatory 2 pit stops because the fuel tank's been limited to about 14 litres, which means the drivers are going to have to stop twice and fill up if they want to actually finish the race. So hopefully we see all of the drivers making 2 pit stops and no more. We've seen a couple of times drivers running out of fuel, which isn't very good. Sam, have you seen any drivers running out of fuel? I don't think there are pit stops in the Academy Series, are there?
There aren't, no, but it's always a case where you may have a setup being given to you and then you forget to adjust the fuel.
Yes,
it happens quite a bit. If we had higher tire degradation on iRacing, I'd love that if you could just whack it like 10 times. I think this is as close as you can get it with this tiny fuel tank these drivers have got.
Absolutely, and we have got the grid up on the screen, and it's close as ever up at the front. Dorian Tabashnik, championship leader, taking pole position here with 152.218. 1/10 behind is Ruben Chachishvili in second, Sharon Kana in third, 1.5 tenths behind Dorian in first. Then we've got Toma Devra, Reem Gross, Michael Sherling, Emma Meshalem, Rancioni, Alon Zeltzer, and Nirkot Mazrahi in 10th. Then Ariel DeBush and Deco Anar rounding out the top 12. Saad Dekel in 13th, then Madi Bakar, Oren Saleh, Really Sir, Yehuda Ben Yosef, Aidan Sher, Yossi Gabay, David Diag rounding out the top 20. Michael Wassman starts 21st, Washer Benchevsky will start 22nd. John Chico and Yaroslav Malkov not setting lap times, neither did Toma Ventura, and there are no penalties to serve today, so we're not going to see anyone taking a pit lane start or having a qualifying ban. Those 2 drivers must have just had off-track, Sam, which are fairly common around here at Silverstone.
Yes, and unfortunately it seems like Chico and Malkov at the moment aren't on the grid, so I do hope that they are taking part tonight and they aren't missing the round. But either way, I think we're going to see a lot of action, close qualifying for these drivers, and it's going to be tricky to break the draft. So as long as we don't have a big incident at the front in the first lap, then I think it should stay close throughout.
Oh, and one of them has just dropped in. Chico dropped in at the very last second. Malkov will start from the pits if he starts at all. But we are ready to race 5 red lights. And we go green for race 13 of the season at Silverstone. It's a good start from Tabashnik and also from Chachishvili as well. He's managed to get past Kana. Devra and Kana side by side for third. But Kana manages to outpace Devra and he's now under pressure from behind. They're almost going 4 wide. They head into the first braking zone of the circuit, turn 3. A couple drivers running wide. It seems as though everyone's made it through cleanly. Very wide circuit, especially in this arena section of Silverstone. And no, we've got a couple cars around on the inside of the loop, and that's more than a couple. There's what, 5 drivers involved in this one, and a lot of damaged parts all over the circuit. But it looks like for the most part everyone's managed to get past. Let's see what happened here into the loop.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one came together in the first hairpin, honestly, but then in the second hairpin it all came to blows, and that was a bit opportunistic, wasn't it? A bit of net code as well with the cars merging into one another. So it was the number 12 who went for the overtake in the first place, which was SDK, and that spelled disaster for many other drivers. However, with the fact that we got 2 pit stops, I'm not sure maybe they'll be able to take their first pit stop here, pick up the fast pit, and only have to do 1 after that. I'm not sure what the fuel situation is like.
Someone's off in the background. Massive smoke screen out of Cop's corner. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to avoid that. I think a couple drivers might have been involved. It's the 36 of Really Sir coming into Cop's corner, just swaps ends on him, and that's a lot of smoke. There's no way of anyone knowing where that car has gone. He manages to set himself going the right way again, and somehow everyone's avoided it.
Is it maybe Sione who hit him? Sione's now dropping down the order, so in fact actually I think Sione's had a bit more of a significant problem, so to share. There's Craner up into 12th, well in fact he's down 9 places, isn't he? Not quite sure what happened to Craner there to lose all those positions.
It doesn't look like there's too much damage, but he is struggling a little bit with the rear end. You can see he lost it heading through club there to start lap number 2, then to actually sort of 1 second lead over Chachishvili, and a couple of drivers making their way into the pits, Deco and Debush. So those drivers involved in that early incident, Wasserman as well. Looks like, yeah, all of the drivers involved in that earlier incident are the ones that are pitting now, and Kane's trying to find a way through there, but just gets squeezed almost off the circuit. No way through with John Chico, who's made up a load of places. He started right at the back of the grid, only just got onto the grid, and he's now defending for 11th place, up 12 positions. Well, now up 11 as Kane tries to make it work all the way around the outside. He was ahead for a brief moment. He'll have the inside line now for Luffield, but will Chico be able to hold it round the outside and get a better exit? No, I don't think he will. They're still just about side by side as they head through Woodcott now onto the National Straight, and he has got fully ahead, but Chico trying to get in that draft to maybe make a move up into Cops.
Yeah, Lee's room does create it. You can go wide here, pick up the 1x. You have to go really wide to pick up the slowdown. So when you're in a wheel-to-wheel battle like that, it's very much worth just picking up that 1x, and then maybe you've got to be a bit more strict later on. But it's certainly worth taking that for the extra pace. As we've now got a replay of what happened to Crane. Unfortunately, I can't see this one day.
Oh, he's just lost it all on his own. The car's just swapped ends, heading into Brooklands, and then the number 20 has done exactly the same thing. The number 20 being Rancioni, right behind him, doing an identical thing. He just maybe got up on the inside curb and it unsettled the car, maybe just hit the curb awkwardly, but that was a really weird one because the car is using all of the downforce that it has, and then, yeah, just swapped ends on him on turning, which was a little bit weird, but he's slowly making his way up through the field. He didn't have any damage from it, of course. He just sort of hit the curb and turned around, but yeah, he's lost a lot of time as someone's going a little bit slowly there in turns 3 and 4.
I think with a slight poor exit, Schurling's had a nice battle against Gross for a while. Managed to pick up those places off the line. Gross dropping behind Schurling, and ever since then they've been absolutely glued together. And now we've got Michelin as well, catching up to these 2 drivers on that last lap. In fact, actually, maybe it was Gross getting past Michelin on that last lap. Apologies. He was certainly a little bit quicker because it was the fastest lap of the race for Gross, so really good pace for him. Unfortunately, he's already 4.5 seconds off the race lead, so he's going to challenge for this race win. Needs to get past absolutely right away. Once again, picking up a... Don't do that too many times. The drivers will get driving penalties, I believe, later on in the race if they do that too many times. Really Cops and then also Stowe corner as well, where you can pick up those 1x's, but it's all about using them tactically. You gotta think of it positively. You gotta think when you can use them to gain that extra quarter of a second to give you a better chance at getting past the car ahead.
That's what the stewards definitely don't want you to be telling the drivers, Sam. Just save them up and then use them to try and gain an advantage, because there's no penalty for that. What's happened there? Oh dear.
I think spun it through Stowe corner here. Was this by himself? The 84 is within range. This was Kopp just behind, and Kopp then slowed down after this. So yeah, that was a bit clumsy.
Yeah, just a little bit of a.
Could say he was the bad cop there.
Oh no. As far as Sam's bad jokes go, that was a very bad one. Oh dear, Sam. David Diag, oh, he's got Sione in front. He's just put a couple wheels on the outside dirt there. Should give him a good opportunity down the Wellington Straight. Getting into the draft. What are you going to pull to the right hand side of the screen now? Yep. Going down the inside into Brooklands, and looks like SDK Goodbye trying to get past Nard just behind these two as well, but quite slow on the brakes there, not trying to do too much. Goodbye up the inside into Luffield now on Deco Nard. Now able to hold the outside line pretty well, but he will be still on the outside through Woodcock, giving him a slight disadvantage, and Goodbye is just edged ahead, and oh, they make contact on the straight! Nara is well and truly out of the race, and Goodbye might just about be able to get going again. It looks like he might have a bit of damage to the rear of his car there, but Deco Nara's going to carry on going on three wheels, trying to make it all the way around to the pit lane. But what has happened here? Goodbye pulling in front, and then just the cars catching each other. The gap wasn't there, it seems.
There's a little bit of netcode, but they did kind of merge into one another, and they may have hit each other regardless. Even if they didn't hit in that instant, they were kind of moving in that direction. So yeah, it's not the best driving there. But maybe you can kind of see the line there. You want to squeeze your rival. It does benefit yourself quite a bit if you can just squeeze it right to the edge of the track. To give some less options compared to the drivers themselves once they can get back to the pits. They can still have a decent race, and I'm sure if you pit it now, you can get to the end of the race with only one more pit stop. So these drivers got to make 2 pit stops because they're limited to the again and maybe lap 12 to get to the end of the race. So it's not necessarily all bad. It's better to have a crash now than it would be earlier in the race. As here is Gross trying to finally make that move, but Schurling is hanging on strong, and he is able to take the normal racing line. However, into Woodcock, I think there might well be a change of position. Schurling wasn't able to get across the circuit in time to cover off the move, and these guys are fairly close to making contact as well onto the grass there. That was just on my screen. Reading a very wide entry there was Schurling. I think he might have the better line heading into Maggots and Beckett, and he sure does. Brilliant defensive driving there from Michael Schurling, and Dream Gross is really being held up with these other two drivers.
Yeah, very good racing there from Schurling to just swing it all the way around the outside and get the better run down in towards Maggots and Beckett and take that right off, because of course that also means that there is very limited downforce for them to utilize through that section, and without much downforce you're not going to go anywhere very quickly through Maggots and Beckett. So he's gained a little bit of an advantage that you can use to defend through the Hangar Straight, which is worked out very nicely for him. A little bit further back we've got John Chico trying to make a move on Oren Sade, both of them clipping their sausage curb there on the outside of Club, and making their way on to start lap number 6. And Chico all over the back of him, maybe going to make a move into turn 3. Gross just got past Schurling as well, it seems, from the timing tower. They look like they're side by side. Chico's going to send it up the inside, not quite alongside on the braking zone. He couldn't get it all the way up alongside, and now through the loop. just stuck behind. He's not going to be able to get past, and I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough to try and make a move into Brooklands and Luffield. Gross has stayed ahead of Shirley now, but they're still side by side further up the road, heading now into Brooklands and Luffield. And Shirley keeping the inside line. Now Gross trying to hold it like he did on the last lap, hold it tight and get a better exit, but he just couldn't get it done. Now pulls to the outside. Did Shirley get a slowdown penalty maybe? No, he's just not got a good run at all. Now through Cops, both of them running off circuit, and Gross, Meshalam's really caught up now. He's right on the back of these two. They're not going to be able to go side by side through here, you wouldn't think.
And this is where the turbulent air really kicks in for the drivers, and Gross immediately losing a few tenths of a second. And 49 will do well to catch up by the end of the hangar straight. Watch out for the thickness of the rear wings for these drivers. We saw quite an important element in on Saturday in these cars was how much downforce the drivers were running. You can go kind of opposite ways around this, so you can run low downforce or high downforce, and that made a big difference to the racing. So if you see a driver in the toe but not gaining much, that's probably because they're running a little bit more downforce, not necessarily because they have damage. As Seda is trying to get the cut back. These two have had a terrific battle so far. As Chico up 13 places, Seda up 4 places. And it's certainly Chico with the advantage now. He managed to make the lead on that last lap, and it's starting to pull away as we look up to Craner on the comeback drive. Started up in 3rd position, dropped outside the top 10 on the first lap with a spin, but he's now back up into 7th. I think he'll probably quite easily catch up to Meshulam by the end of the race, but any higher than that will be fairly tricky. So close to the lead, by the way. 8 tenths of a second. It's just come down a little bit between Tabachnik and Jachashvili. Gap has been hovering around at about a second, but you can see, yeah, the last 4 laps, just little by little. And with the 2 pit stops involved in this race, maybe a different strategy option could be open. Certainly, if you pitted now, you could get to the end of the race with 1 more stop. We know that for certain because this is the 7th lap of the race, and of course you can do at least 7 laps on fuel. We're not really sure how far you can go on fuel, but it will be no further than 9 laps. It will be 9 laps at the maximum, maybe 7, 8 or 9 is really the range that we're looking at.
I can't help but wonder if any of the drivers, because Silverstone has a very slow pit lane, and if there are enough laps that you can do on a fuel tank, maybe trying to save enough fuel to go the distance on only 1 pit stop might be something that, and Nick Kopp go into the pit lane now, and along with Island Sher, makes me think that's not going to be very possible, because I think the leader's going to have to come in this time by. Laps is a lot of time, is a lot of fuel to save, as Mark and I know all too well from sleeping 12 hours. But yeah, these two really close now, actually 3 tenths of the gap. Chachashvili's doing a great job of closing down that gap, maybe trying to push before the pit lane to see if he can try and maybe overtake him in the pits. We saw last time the series visited Silverstone, I think 3 or 4 drivers got speeding penalties on the way in because the pit entry is dusty and bumpy, that so many drivers locked up and went straight on into the pit lane and got a penalty for it. So that could be something to watch out for as well.
Reminds me, it reminds me, I was 8 years old at the time that F1 refueling was banned. But it's a little bit like that, where maybe in this second stint you could maybe take a little bit less fuel. You'll have a shorter pit stop, maybe get track position in the pit stop by being stationary for maybe a second less, and then you'll of course have a little bit less fuel, which might give you, I don't know, maybe a tenth of a second if you're running 1 less lap of fuel. So only go to maybe lap 14 in your second stint rather than lap 15. Something that the drivers think about here. So if there is a little bit of a discrepancy between the 2 pit stops times, then maybe that's what the strategy is about, as they do predictably come into the pits at 8 laps, seems to be as far as you can go. And well, they're very even on pit entry there. Chachashvili needs to be stationary for about 8 tenths of a second shorter than the race leader in order to make the jump.
Reem Gross gained a lot of time on Michael Shirley on pit entry. You can see how close they are now, which is a little bit interesting. You can see everybody in the background of the shot making their way into the pits, but Dorian leads them down there, all of them trundling down at a very slow speed, and we'll see how they come out. They won't have to take tyres, it'll just be fuel, and I think a couple of drivers might have taken a bit too much fuel there because, or I guess they would be filling the tank up. You'd expect, Sam? You'd expect them to fill the tank right up because they do have to make another pit stop on fuel, of course, but Chachishvili came out a couple tenths behind, so good stop for Dorian. Let's see Ross and Shirling. Shirling's come out behind.
Oh, well, he's got to do it all over again, hasn't he? So Gross was stationary for 8/10 of a second shorter. Gross with a very short pit stop there, so I wonder if he's going to go 1 lap shorter. Good work from Mark Trenton to get that graphic up for us. It's odd actually, because that screen's telling me different info to what my live timing screen shows, because I've got 4.6 seconds for Chachishvili, not 5.0. That's the pit stop time. So Chachishvili certainly lost a bit of time on pit entry and pit exit, didn't he? Because his pit stop time, we know absolutely, whether you take mine or Mark's, it was shorter, and yet his pit stop time overall was longer. So he must have just been a bit more careful on pit entry or pit exit, and that's cost him a bit of a chance. Because remember, he was staying in the slipstream as well, Chachishvili, so he was saving fuel most likely, and so he probably needed less fuel. So that's an opportunity for him gone. He just needs to nail that pit lane better next time round. As there goes Dekel Na.
Ruben's in the lead.
17th, as Chachishvili's taken the lead. I think Tabishnik has got a slowdown, hasn't he?
I'm not sure. I think that the slowdown's normally a bit shorter time than that. Yeah, you're right, he has got a slowdown because, well, either that or we just want to have a race. We've seen that a couple times in this series, where they just slow down to have a race, but I don't think that's one of these occasions. Let's see what happens here, because he's yes, he's run wide. That slowed him down already, but iRacing says no, you ran wide there, you're getting a slowdown penalty anyway, regardless of whether or not you actually gained an advantage from it. And he's lost out a bit of time, but he was a little bit quicker, so we'll see if he can catch up and maybe try and get that place back. Shirley, he had that with a whole lot of opposite lock there, because he's swapped steering lock a little bit too quickly. And the car did not like that at all. Try to swap ends on it, but he managed to hang on to it just about. He lost a little bit of time to Rim in front of him though, as the last of the drivers making their way through the pits, possibly the drivers who had to pit early on in the race and now having to make their second stop. Yeah,
so it seems as though it's marginal 7-8 laps, isn't it? So even if you pits on lap 1, you won't be able to get to the end of the race. You won't be able to get to the end of the race, because 16 laps is the furthest you can go with 2 stops. So anyone who had to pick up a faster pair after lap 3, so from lap 4 onwards, they should be alright. They should have to make just 2 pit stops. Grace is off the circuit, and that is a huge shame for Grace, because he'd worked so hard to take back that 4th position. He's given this one up here, and just taking a bit too much curb there, gets onto the grass, and then nearly reaching the wall as well. That's the right thing, gets back to the circuit as quick as possible, and well, could have been worse for him. He's down into 7th.
He's kind of in a bit of no man's land now as well, because he's got a couple of seconds in front and a couple of seconds behind, so yeah, not ideal for him at all. As we've got Yossi Goodbye trying to stick up the inside into turn 3 of Sardekel, but can't quite make it work. It is worth noting that I do believe it is Reem who is driving with one arm because of a shoulder injury, so that he was still driving with one arm. I thought it was going to be a short-term thing, but no, he has to do that for a while longer still, and somehow still keeping up with the guys out in front. As I'm seeing on my screen there, Coppersri's crashed. So I'm not too sure what's happened to him, but he's found his way off circuit, and apparently hitting something. Oh,
And yes. Oh wow. Okay, that was two slides, wasn't he?
Whoa.
Oh, and then very lucky not to get collected afterwards. Yeah, no hesitation there for Cop to get back on his way. But yeah, that was a weird one. Well, it wasn't totally weird, but he lost the car initially, then tried to put the power down when the tyres overheated as they were. He lost out. That was a very easy move there for Kana over Meshula.
yeah.
I'm not sure if they're maybe teammates or friends, but that was very generous.
Yeah, Amiris 100% let him pass there. Absolutely no attempt at a defence. He knows that Sheeran is a little bit quicker than him, and he's just saying, all right, you can go on, see if you can catch Michael and drag me along with you, I think is what Amir has just done there. They've got a little bit of traffic, and again, going all the way around the outside of that. Thought there was a slowdown too, but apparently not. And he's now running the risk of getting a penalty. There's 17 instant points the drivers have available to them, and we know he's had 2 of them taken up by the spin early on in the race, and then a lot of penalty, and then 25 you get disqualified. So he is only halfway through the race. He's got to watch out for the track timers because they could come back to bite him.
Yeah, I thought you would have picked up a slowdown there. I mean, he's basically made a new corner for himself, very much circa 2009 with that one with the old kind of curved club corner rather than the more apexy, pointy, I don't know, version that we have nowadays. Seda is ahead of Sione, but I think he might lose this one quite quickly again because Sione's got the drafts. Yeah, it'd be great to do this one again. Use the 1x wisely here. He tries to get the cut back instead, just wasn't far enough alongside. So great in these Formula 3 cars, these straights do become just a little bit longer than maybe some super high-powered machinery, so you can really get a run into many of these different corners. Just a little bit out of shape there for Sione, and he loses a few tenths of a second. And he's going to be coming back again. It is Sione who is the faster out of these two, or 6 tenths of a second faster on that last tour. He's looking strong for a move once again, gains that 3 tenths of a second back down the Hanger Straight. And it's just every single corner he's under pressure right now is Seda, but at least this time he's able to take the race at 9.
Yeah, but he's run a little bit deep into club now. Maybe more square? I'm not sure if that's the
that's
word
a good one.
He would be looking for, but he has pulled up alongside now and towards turns 1 and 2. He's just about there, and he has the inside line. He makes it work very nicely, and he'll take the racing line for turn 2 as well. And Rancioni moves up now into 10th place, not turn 10. And he's got 2 seconds up the road. There he is. There's Alon Zeltzer in 9th. That's who he'll be setting his eyes on next. He won't worry about Oren Sadi behind him. He will definitely be looking straight ahead to see if he can catch up with, what, 7-8 laps to go for these guys now as they make their way through Brooklands and Luffield. And on the last few laps, obviously lap 12 he was a bit slower, being held up a bit by Sade, but other than that he was catching him every lap, so yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. He might just manage to do it because he's still gaining a little bit of time actually, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see with 20 minutes or 7 laps to go.
Chico up ahead of Gross. Has Gross got another problem? He seems very slow. Yeah, he's losing a lot of time.
Slowdown penalty?
I mean, that's a huge slowdown. Oh yeah, he's run out. Oh, how's he done that? Come on, man, you should have enough fuel to get to lap 16. How have you run out of fuel?
You did say that he had a
less fuel.
He's really wide around him there for a second. Is he going to be able to make it back? There is a hill now, but everything I believe is downhill from here. So he might just about be able to make it, but It doesn't look good for him, does it?
I mean, I just hope that no one comes into the pits behind him. Otherwise, they're going to get held up here. It's not the widest pit lane down this circuit, so you do well to pick a way past. Because this pit lane, absolutely infuriatingly, is below the circuit, and so if you're on the grandstand on the other side, you can't really see a whole lot of what's going on. I don't know why they designed it like that. It was a terrible idea. Yeah, I thought that might help him. That was the one factoid I've got about this. Any more downhill, but you didn't reach his pit stall anyway. It'd be tight if these guys do pit this lap, because he didn't put that much less fuel in. I mean, he still put like only a second less fuel, or even less than that, than these race leaders. So that indicates that maybe the fuel doesn't go as long as we thought before you know, put all the fuel that they could put in. But I mean, they're one of the highest fueled up drivers, aren't they? Are the top three. So you would think they'd be able to get to lap 16, but I know that's put some doubt in my mind. They're at least going to lap 50.
Well, if the fuel tank is 14 litres, Shirley's into the mix.
Oh no, sorry, that was just Shirley coming.
Hey,
Did have a problem. I think Devora did he have a slow lap? Yeah, Devora. But it wasn't so bad. He still that.
But I guess if you think about it, it's a 14 litres fuel tank, so a 5-second stop, that's 3 litres per second. And if he's lost a second, he's lost 3 litres. So that's what, 1.5 laps worth of fuel that he's lost.
So by that logic, they'll have to come in on this lap.
Yes, they would.
Okay. Which would be odd, because you know they did 8 laps in the first stint, and then they may only do 7 laps in this stint. But I wonder if we'll even see a split. Maybe Tapachnik maybe is able to go 1 extra lap because he's been in the draft. So you may have saved a little bit of fuel. I mean, you don't even have to lift and coast. I mean, if you're in the draft, then you're naturally your thoughts all for less amount of time. And if you're in the turbulent air, then you're usually carrying less corner speed, which again saves fuel because you're going slow. So yeah, we'll see. Interesting race this. It's next.
I do believe. Oh, he's really close through Stowe here, and both going to make a beeline to the pits. Oh! Just really trying to dummy. Dorian somehow managed to just about cut his way across the grass and into the pit box, but 8 meters separating the cars as they make their way down the pit lane. Is he actually staying in the draft? I think he is as well. Let's have a look at this from here. Looks like he's going on the normal line, and then whew, he's only just about got that. That could have so easily just been a flick of the steering wheel too hard and ended up in the wall.
Oh, they're so close, aren't they? But he's ahead. It's the 42 of Chachashvili. He is still ahead then. So he's been able to hold on to that position. He was 0.3 longer in the pit stall, was Chachashvili, but it was still enough to hold on to that place.
Yeah, only just, and there's a little bit of smoke. Club corner, not too sure what that's from. There's no cars spread across the circuit. Couple drivers into the pits now. You can see the timing tower having a little bit of a tough time keeping up with everything. But yeah, we'll see in a few laps. Once everyone, oh, someone's around. It's Sione. Off he goes.
Well, that's Sione.
What's their help? Because I don't think there is actually, because he's got no one behind him. He's just looped it into turn 3 on the curb, and it's just turned around on him.
I remember whilst these drivers would have been taking fuel so far, I don't think they've been taking tyres. Although I'm not sure on that. I don't think we haven't seen guys go up on the jacks, have we? So yeah, so yeah, the drivers, these cars were going longer than what the official series usually forces them to. It will be slightly unusual for the drivers out here to be on this age of tyres. It's Bush. It's just about staying ahead of Cole. Devora and Meshula are the last front runners, at least, to come into the pits. We've also got Ventura.
Oh, no.
Right. Oh no! Oh, huge.
Oh, the Bush, he lost it through Maggots, and I think he lost it in Chapel. Coming through the right hand, the car's a little bit skittish. He gets up on the grass, and the car just, I think he's touched the tarmac on the inside there, is what's happened. And it's just thrown the car to the left into the wall. Oh, battle for the lead now, 2:10 separating Tabashnik and Chachashvili. And with only a few laps left in the race, no more pit stops having to be made. You wanna bet that Dorian's gonna give everything he's got to try and get past his main championship rival in the series, with only one round left to go as well. After this, and one run all the way out wide and get back over the curb, the black and white curb, because if you don't, you get a nasty slowdown. If you go any further than that, if you go off the circuit, it's like a 2-second slowdown or something. It's a terrible slowdown to get there, and you can see Dorian actually taking a very different line, trying to stay out of the dirty area as much as possible. He only lost to 2/10, I think, heading through there. Maggots, Beggarts and Chapel that time by, but now down the hanger straight in towards Stowe. We'll see he'll choose a different line again. These two not much similar in terms of racing line that they're taking, but Sebastian maybe looking good if he can get a good exit out of club here to try and challenge into turn 3.
Yeah, because I was saying it on Saturday that the Abbey chicane isn't a corner in these cars. I mean, you can go flats out even in the draft, so it's kind of like an extension of the straight. And so you'll see that gap, it won't increase through club, it'll just continue to decrease because you got the draft rather than the turbulent air. As it comes, a little bit of a move, and that's just going to force his opponent offline, take the wider line into the loop. And then, when you move on to the Wellington straight, this is going to be an awesome opportunity for Tabachnik, who is going to certainly be alongside, heading into Brooklands here. He moves to the inside. Cheshire thinks that he can hang it round the outside, get the inside for Lovefields to the next corner round. And it seems like he is going to be able to do that, but around this circuit, the battle's never over, and you can always try to get the cutback and the better exit for the next corner. It is Chachashvili holding on to the lead at the moment, but it's Tabachnik with the faster run out of the corner, was able to get on the throttle earlier, very close to making contact down the straight, and now round the outside are the two race leaders, and they're going to still be alongside into Maggots and Beggarts. Who's going to blink first?
Neither of them.
They are staying absolutely pinned at the moment. They're leaving each other a terrific amount of room. Number 7 absolutely sliding all over the place. And into the hanger straight, it's finally Tabachnik who's got ahead, but Chachashvili is able to tip back into the shaft.
And he'll come right back alongside the along the inside and towards Stowe now, but Tabachnik holding it around the outside. He'll have the inside for the chicane if he can keep it on the circuit, which he does so. Now has the inside line into the chicane, and he has made the move stick finally as they make their way through to start the penultimate lap, lap 19 out of 20, and he has a 3/10 advantage over his championship rival Ruben Chachashvili just behind him now, heading through turns 1 and 2, and then well and truly into the arena section. Now we're going to see a dive down the inside. He looks for it, but I think he's probably just looking to say, hey, I'm here still. Try and put Dorian off maybe in the mirrors, and he's got a little bit squirrely himself out of the loop. Now heading through back onto the Wellington straight, and there's half a tenth in it now, and that's looking good for Dorian.
Tabashnik does seem to have been the faster driver since he had that slowdown. I remember he led in the early stages, he got pole position, he led in the early stages, got a slowdown through Chapel, able to gain that back fairly quick. And since then he's been absolutely hounding the back of Chachashvili, so I think Tabashnik has got the advantage here, so it will have to be a terrific end to the lap, but that is a much better run for Chachashvili. Just Tabashnik missing the very tricky turn-in point for Cop's Corner, and the gap is virtually nothing again. All about staying as close as you can around this part. The gap will inevitably increase, but it's how close you can stay, and that is fairly close. So Chachashvili will be fairly close going into Stowe onto at the end of this lap.
Yeah, and it's going to be very close between them. Tabashnik running a little bit wide there. That is one of the best places to pick up a slowdown penalty, my friend Dorian. You don't want to be doing that. Look how close they are through club corners. They're going to go on to the final lap of the race, and at the rear end of the top 10, we've got Sioni and Cop having a little bit of a battle for 9th and 10th as they make their way onto the hangar straight. 0.5 of a second is the gap between the driver with the number 20 and the driver with the number 84. The gap between the leaders just about 1/10 of a second now, as I think they're heading into the arena now. Yes, they are. There's basically nothing between them as they head through the loop and now onto the Wellington straight for the final time. And 0.3 of a second, is that going to be a big enough gap for Dorian?
As long as he doesn't make the same mistake as he did on the last lap, he should be alright, as Seda had a bit of a problem, just dropping behind Sioni and Cop there. But yeah, what a great battle this has been between these two. And this would be a one step closer as well for Tabashnik to the title. Of course, Alon Day not around tonight. We're tied on points heading into this round. She would still have a chance if Tabashnik didn't turn up for the last round or retired. Then potentially Shvi could still win the title, but yeah, with this race win, it would be a huge moment in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely would. And oh, that's just about, I think he's just about avoided a slowdown penalty because he's not slowing down. We're heading through Stowe Corner now. The gap was 0.4 of a second. You'd think that's miles too big for Reuven to have any sort of meaningful attack into the final braking zone of the circuit. Now Dorian Tabashnik heads into the left. There is the slowdown penalty being served by Reuven Chachashvili. He can take a deep breath now through the final corner, and Dorian Tabashnik comes across the line to win at Silverstone in race 13 of the season, and that is giving him an incredibly good position heading into the final round of the season. Chachashvili finishes in second there after a brilliant battle between those two. Michael Sherling will take third, Devra in fourth, and then Amir Meshlam, the organizer in the 777, moves himself into fifth as he comes across the line. John Chico started pretty much dead last, I think 24th on the grid, and he finishes in sixth. So a brilliant comeback from him. Alan Zotz is going to cross the line to finish seventh, but sad, what a battle we just saw from the leaders.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it? And the strategy played out pretty well. That's a bit of a slow end, isn't it? For that was, I'm sure iShares went out of fuel. Got number 2. Where is Nar behind? Nar's catching up quick, but the line comes up very quick down that short start finish straight, so not too much of a problem. And the Hamilton straight, of course, as it is called now. But no, the strategy works really well there, didn't it? It wasn't very predictable with the strategy. I think every call I made between those top two, at least with the strategy, I think was wrong. Because I kind of expected one drive to be a little bit faster, and then they maybe were held up or lost a little bit of time that we couldn't quite figure out. But no, that's a fantastic way to come to the close of the championship. One more round to go next week, and then that will be the season complete. But I'm sure Tabashnik will be very pleased that he got one over Chachashvili right there.
Yeah, he absolutely will. And not the best round for Kayleigh, of course. Started third on the grid. And yeah, just went backward after the spin at the start, came back up to the field, and something's happened to him near the end as well because he's dropped back at least 4 positions in the last lap. So yeah, not too sure what happened with him. He's been consistently inconsistent, has Kane. He's been pretty quick over the last few rounds, but he hasn't got the results to show for it because he's either making mistakes or getting involved in incidents that really had nothing to do with him. He's just, of course, in Montreal 2 weeks ago, crashed right in front of him in the World Champions, the chicane. So nothing you could do about that. But yeah, there's he's not had the best of luck, and he's just dropped down even further potentially. Unless I've just been mistaken. Has he got maybe a penalty?
I think you're right, yeah. So...
He has, yeah, because he...
Yeah, down to 15th now. He was in 10th, so I think he's got a 40-second penalty right there.
Slowdown for... Maybe he didn't serve a slowdown. That might explain why it was so slow across the line as well. So that's what's happened to him. So this got from bad to worse for Sharon Kaner. But we're going to see a replay. Oh, he has finally got the slowdown that he's really been asking for the entire race, because he's done that a lot of times in the race. And yeah, you could see he slammed on the brakes as he came across the line, realizing, oh no, I've got to slow down. But yeah, that was trying to avoid people in front of him, I think, but a little bit self-inflicted there. Dorian Tarashne, of course, then taking the win with Riven Chachashvili in second, Tomo Devra in third, Amameshtam in fourth, then John Chico, Alan Zeltzer, Rancioni, Nick Mizrahi, Oren Sade, Yaroslav Malkov. Then in the top 10, then Aidan Sher, Dekal Na, David Diag, Tomo Ventura, Sharon Kaner, Reem Gross, Yehuda Ben Yosef, Michael Sherling, Michael Wasserman, Really Sir in the top 20. And then the final few drivers, Moshe Bunchevsky, Sardekel, Yossi Gabai, Ariel Debush, and Maddie Picard, who I don't think started the race, who started in 23rd, didn't take to the grid to start the race, much like Charles Leclerc in Formula 1 over the weekend.
That's to remind me. I was just going over it.
Well, we have got some drivers waiting for an interview, and I think, of course, the only place that we can really start is going to be the race winner. So let's get Dorian into the commentary booth, and he joins us now. Dorian, can you hear us?
Yes, boys. How are you?
We're not too bad, but I think you're a little bit tired after that extra long round of the iRacing Israel League. Yeah, taking the win just about in the final few laps.
Yeah, saving the best for last, eh? Man, me and Chacha, we were both victims of that off track coming out of Beckett's, and that switched things up rapidly. He was catching up to me as I was leading the race on the earlier stint, but yeah, I don't know what got into me. I started pushing like crazy, and somehow worked. It was either like try to go for a move or put the car in a wall, pretty much. No in between.
And yeah, to really work for that, I think it was side by side from the Brooklands up until halfway through Maggots and Beckett's for your move to take the lead. That must have been a bit nerve-wracking going side by side through there.
Yeah, I mean, I trust Reuven fully. I know he'll leave space. He know I'll leave space, and that's the best case scenario when you're racing. So when you can trust each other, and just I played every trick in my book. Like, I didn't leave anything out there. I was trying to spook him into an on turn, I think it was turn 4. Can't remember the corner names, but turn 4 is when I try to trick him into a narrow line, so he'll compromise his exit. That way, I'll be able to make a move down the back straight there before the next sector. So yeah, that worked, and but it wasn't easy because he kept alongside me for a while. It was crazy going through cops. That was crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, you've got a little bit of a healthy lead now in the championship. I'm not sure if you've won it yet after the penultimate round, but heading into Monza, regardless for the final round, you're in a very good position if you haven't already won it. So, what are your thoughts heading into the last round at the Monza Grand Prix circuit?
Well, since I'm out of drop weeks, and yeah, I think I'll have to finish. Like, I'll have to get like maybe a top 10 or something. I can't just back out of it and still win the championship. So there's still something on the line if I fail to finish the race, which is very easy to do at Monza. I'm gonna have to be very extra careful, let go of positions, just have a safe race. I know I won't. I'm saying I will, but I won't. I'll go for it 100%, like I usually do. But that's what I'm supposed to do, at least. Try to have a safe race.
Well, Dorian, thank you so much for joining us here for a quick chat. Congratulations on the win, of course. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the finale at Monza. But before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, thanks, Ruben, for probably the best race of my life. I think I've said it like 3 times already in these interviews. This league provides the best racing I ever had, just because there's so much trust and you can just send it, you know? You can respectfully send it, let's call it that. And yeah, it's just, this one is by far, I saved the replay, this one's for the books, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, it was great to watch for Sam and I. We were having a good time watching that. And yeah, Dorian, congrats on the win, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the finale.
Cheers, fellas. Bye.
Well, it was good to hear from him, Sam, and we have got a couple more drivers still waiting for a quick chat and a bit of time left. So, who do you think you're going to take next?
I think I'm going to have a chat with Ruben Chachashvili, who now joins us in the commentary box. Unlucky out there, Ruben, but still a really good second place. Looked like a lot of fun out there.
Hey guys, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Ruben. Yeah, I was just saying how like it looked like a lot of fun. Yours and Dorian's battle was absolutely manic.
Oh, sorry, I probably jumped up too late. So yeah, it was crazy. I'm still sweating here to hell. Dorian gave a great fight. I really enjoyed it. It was a crazy fight for me. I wish I had the 5th of the Dorian's racecraft. He's a great driver. I enjoyed it a lot. I tried everything to keep up, you know, with his pace and later on to keep the first place. But it was a matter of time, you know, one slipstream in this track and you're in danger. So yeah, I'm happy with the second place. I wish I could, you know, it's a bit itching. I wish I could have kept the first place, but it was a big challenge with Dorian.
Talk us through the pit stop strategy out there. Were you just filling the fuel up maximum on that first pit stop? And was there kind of any fuel saving out there? What was the strategy like?
So in the first stint, I tried to save a little bit of fuel when I was behind Dorian. I tried to sneak into his slipstream zone, which was pretty hard to be honest. Especially when in the middle of the stint, my steering wheel lost most of its force feedback, so it was almost impossible for me to hold the car. So I tried to, you know, whatever I can to keep up with Dorian and to try to save some fuel. When I entered the pit, I noticed that I actually saved nothing. So I just topped up the fuel. It was 14 liters. And in the second stint, when Dorian got his slowdown, I just tried to give my maximum. In the second stop, I just put an extra fuel because I was in the first place. I thought to save a little bit more, as I thought that I'll be in the second place behind Dorian, but I didn't manage to. So I put a bit too much fuel, I think, what made Dorian to close up with me and have a great fight at the end.
Yeah, it was absolutely awesome for us to watch. Monza is the last round of the championship. Do you think that's going to be kind of lots of slipstreaming, maybe like lots of kind of battle packs, or do you think it will be a case of maybe you and Dorian pulling away from the rest of the game?
I wish that everybody, you know, close up and there will be a tight race, It's the most, enjoying race that you can accept. Though, to be honest, I'm not a big fan of Monza, especially of its first turn, T1. I don't want to be pessimistic, but, I kind of guess that, first lap T1 gonna be a disaster, as I had in my past races in Monza. Though, it's kind of an oval track. So I guess it would be a little bit boring. I think that, keeping from behind in Monza might be a good idea. Wait to the end of the race. So I'm not sure there will be much fight, but it's a pretty important race. So I'm going to give 100% there.
Definitely. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
To everybody, guys, to you guys for the commentary box, and to everybody that's participating in this race, to Dorian that gave me a really fun race, which is a good recap after 2 bad races that I had. So yeah, thanks to everybody.
Awesome. Thanks for having a chat with us, Reuven. We'll see you back next week.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
That was Reuven Cheshashvili, your second place finisher.
Absolutely, and yeah, it was a brilliant battle between those two of Reuven and Dorian, but also a couple of other good battles throughout the rest of the field. And I'm really looking forward to the finale at Monza. Good circuit for overtaking. Fairly similar in Silverstone, as it's difficult to lose people at Monza. The draft is very powerful. Most of the circuit is flat out. There's only 5 braking zones, I think, is what I counted last time. Yeah, it's a very good circuit for racing. Turn 1, as we heard Reuven say, is going to be quite interesting. But I can't wait for that. That's going to be in 2 weeks' time for the season finale, race 14 of the season at Monza. Hope you can all join us then. But for now, from myself, Dane Baird, from Sam Fitzpatrick alongside, and from Mark Tranter up in the production booth, we would like to wish you a good night and happy racing.